Right, okay. Hi everyone, as I'm recording this, the men's singles final has literally just finished. So the Olympics for another time is completely done. And what an amazing Olympics it was. The atmosphere was fantastic throughout. I mean, what a difference between Tokyo and this one. I think just the crowd factor just lifted everything up 10 notches. It really does make the difference. But anyway, the reason I'm doing this video is because before the Olympics started, I put out an Olympic prediction video, and based on the analytics, a lot of people watched it. A lot of people have commented. And the fact that I made some rather bold choices within my prediction video, I thought, why not go through it after the Olympics and see how I got on? That way you can either ridicule me, praise me, bit of both, or just be completely indifferent to me. Either way, I think it's just a good idea to run through the results, run through my top picks and how did they get on. And maybe even sprinkle in some of the other things that I mentioned in the video, and did they pan out, did they not pan out, etc. At the end then, I think it'd be a good idea to make a little tally to see how I got on, and spoiler alert, I think I did okay. But before I get into any of that, obviously if you usually watch my stuff, my content, then you know that I don't usually put my face on the screen. Usually that's only reserved for Q&As, but because of time restrictions, I'll get to that at the end of the video, plus just how strict the IOC are with copyright infringement, I'm not quite sure how much I can show. So it's going to be mainly my face on the screen, so bear with it, or leave, that's up to you. But either way, I'm rattling on, so let's just get cracking, and let's start with the first event that finished, the mixed doubles. So with the mixed doubles, I don't think I could actually have got it any better. Starting off with the perfect event for my predictions, and that was that out of the 4 semi-finalists were all my top 4 picks. So you had Zheng Siwei, Wang Yechong, you had Se Seung-jae and Cha Yu-jung, Yuta Watanabe and Arisa Higashino, which was a bit of a bold move considering their form going in. And then my dark horses were Kim Won-ho and Jung Na-yoon. Obviously there was a little bit of fortune, because with the way the doubles draws worked, whoever came second could go anywhere. And I was also helped a little bit by the fact that Feng Yanze and Wang Dongping, the number 2 seeds, lost in the group stages to the Malaysian pair. They played phenomenally in that match. So what that meant was that although Kim Won-ho and Jung Na-yoon were also coming second in their group, they ended up getting what you'd call a favourable draw and were kind of not with them. So they ended up kind of in a position where all 4 of the pairs that I picked could reach the semi-finals. But on that note of Feng Yanze and Wang Dongping, I'm going to show you, in my original prediction video, I actually gave a reason as to why I didn't pick Feng and Wang as one of my top picks, even though they were number 2 seeds, they won the French Open, which is used the same venue, all that kind of stuff. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to kind of show you a screenshot now of the script. I left it out because the video was already getting quite long, and I felt that if I do it for one, justifying why I didn't pick one pair, I'd have to do it for others, and then it would have been an hour-long video, and it needs to be focused on just the predictions. But this is exactly what I said about that pair in the script. Now, before I move on to the next discipline, I know I'll get questions about pairs who I didn't pick, namely the number 2 seeds from China, Feng Yanze and Wang Dongping. I mean, not only did they win the French Open, but Wang Dongping is the defending Olympic champion. Well, although he has changed my perception of his ability to do well under pressure, I still think when it's crunch time, Feng Yanze is susceptible to feeling the pressure. He showed this at the World Championships and Asian Games last year, both times failing to live up to expectations. And well, there's no bigger pressure than the Olympics. Even with Wang Dongping's amazing leadership, I can see this pair leaving without a medal. So I don't think I could have been more accurate. Another thing about Feng and Wang is that apart from the World Tour finals, they haven't reached a final in a Super 1000 either. So when it comes to the absolute top tournaments, they do tend to not do quite as well as they should. So that was my reasoning. I did get lucky with the draws, but still 4 out of 4 on the mixed doubles. I'm off to an incredibly solid start. I'm not so sure it's going to go much better, because the next one is women's doubles, and yeah, that one was probably, it didn't go so well for me. like I just said, the women's doubles, a slightly different result for me. I got well. Let's be honest here. The two finalists were two pairs that I picked, but the top seeds, Chen Qingqian, Jai Fan. I'll be honest here. Everyone would have picked them if they had a top three, even a top two. I think majority of people would have put them as their favourite, and they proved that by being just dominant throughout. Yeah, they had some moments where, you know, the semi-final against the Malaysians, I was like, ooh, okay, maybe, but all in all, they had it under control. The number two pair, the number two Chinese pair, Tan Ning and Liu Shengshu, I picked them, but I did have some doubts because of, you know, the lack of experience and all that kind of stuff. But I just felt that because they're from China and they're also they just give me that vibe of something special, that I thought that they would come through. I didn't actually think they'd get to the final, but I thought a medal was definitely on the cards. So yeah, I got the two finalists, but from there it kind of went wrong. My dark horse pick didn't make it out of the groups. They had a strong start, beating the Indonesians, but then they lost to the Chinese. They lost to the Malaysians, who were the absolute surprise for me of the event. They were sublime. They were amazing. It's a shame that they weren't able to clinch the bronze, but the pair who did, Matsuyama and Shida, they played ridiculously good in that bronze. If they had played like that in the semi-final against Liu Shengshu and Tan Ning, I think we would have seen them in the final. They were brilliant. I went for Matsumoto and Nagahara. I just had this feeling about them, but it turned out to not be true. But I did, can I get a half point? I did kind of predict that someone from the group of death, alongside Chen and Jia, would make the latter stages, so half point there. And then my other pick, Lee So-hee and Bae Ha-na, had a bit of a shocking tournament, really. Lost to Furugaard and Tugusen, and then got absolutely destroyed by Liu Shengshu and Tan Ning in the quarters. They really didn't have a good tournament. And talking of the Danish pair, I actually said another thing that I got kind of slightly wrong was that I thought that if there was to be a European pair from their group, which group was it? Group D, if there was going to be a pair that might do the upset, I thought it would be the European champions, the French pair with the home crowd and the fact they've been actually playing pretty well. But Furugaard and Tugusen were in the group stages. Wow, they were really good. They had an odd blip, but they were amazing. Weren't able to keep it going into the knockout stages. To be fair, Matsuyama and Shida are like the worst pair they could play, because speed is the Danish pair's enemy, and speed is what they got, and yeah, no chance. So yeah, from the mix where I got all four, in the women's doubles, I got the two finalists, so yeah, yay me. But other than that, completely missed the ball on Matsumoto and Nagahara, and Lee So-hee and Bae Ha-na really didn't live up to the expectations. So yeah, women's doubles, 2 out of 4. Or medalists, 2 out of 3. That sounds better, doesn't it? I'll go 2 out of 3. Men's doubles I'm going to do next, so let's get to that. So I had a flawless victory in the mixed, half, 50-50 in the doubles, maybe slightly less if you count the other things that I said. Men's doubles, how did I get on? I would almost say I almost did very good, but I must say though, out of the 5 disciplines, for me the men's events, the singles and doubles, but more so the doubles, was very difficult to pick, because any of the top 8-9 pairs, honestly, on their day, could have beaten each other. And you can see that in the scores. I mean, the men's doubles medal matches, not to jump too far ahead, was so close. So close that it could have gone either way. And even in some of the quarterfinals, there were some very close matches. I think kind of predicting this one is definitely an element of luck. Who did I pick? I picked Ranki Reddy and Shetty. They lost in the quarterfinals to the Malaysians. Again, another Malaysian pair that I overlooked. That will happen a bit later as well. Don't worry, I will address that. They played brilliantly, Aaron Chan and So Yik. They were, when I picked my dark horse, they are probably my toss of a coin between them and the Indonesians that I picked. Probably should have picked the Malaysians now, but that's hindsight for you. The Indonesians did lose to one of my other picks, and again, it was an incredibly tight game. I think it was extra points in both, so that could have gone either way. Who am I the pick? So yeah, like I said, the Chinese pair, Liang Wei-keng and Wang Chang, they played solid. They got to the final. putting in some good performances. I was quite impressed with Liang Wei-Keng, to be honest. The final was a different matter, for obvious reasons. You know, it's a final of the Olympics, but throughout, I thought that if there was ever, and I said this in my prediction video, if there was ever a weakness of this pair, was how he was going to handle it, and then how Wang Chang handles Liang Wei-Keng handling it. And I thought Liang Wei-Keng actually really showed improvement in that area, so that was really good to see. My other pick that definitely got some raised eyebrows was the Danes. I think a lot of people thought that, well, they're ranked 2, but it's only because they do really well in the tournaments where not the best in the world are, which I thought was a rather ridiculous statement considering they're the world silver medalists, and they've beaten pretty much every pair out there, so they've definitely proved themselves. But they were very good, and they really should have won the bronze. They were dominating up until those 4 match points, and Kim Astrup was the player of the match until they reached 20, and then, yeah, he kind of shit the bed, let's be honest here, but, you know, it can happen when you're at such a point. But fair play to the Malaysians who held it together in that bronze medal match. When it comes down to the picks that I got, so Liang Wei-Keng and Wang Chang, they got to the semis. So again, I got 2 out of 4 that got to the semis, and only 1 of them medalled. So it's probably, yeah, it's even worse than women's doubles. Yeah, I didn't think of that. But the big surprise of the tournament, I did say, again, another half point here, I did say that I thought that they would be one of the pairs that could go through the group of death. I did not expect them to win the whole thing. And that's the defending champions, Li Yang and Wang Qilin. I actually did a video for the BWF about them on like day 1 or day 2, because they really meant business. They were flying from the start, and they kind of never let up. They came through the group of death again, like they did in Tokyo. They beat almost every single top pair en route to winning, and they were just fantastic. And I think the difference was in the final, other than Wang Chang's surface errors, was the fact that they'd done it before. They knew how to get over the line, and that makes a big difference. So yeah, all in all, in terms of my predictions, the men's doubles is worse than the women's doubles. Yeah, as someone said, I got it completely wrong, which is not quite true. I didn't get it completely wrong. I had 2 out of 4 semi-finalists, but in terms of medalists, yeah, it didn't go so good. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to move on to the singles events now. It's been a long Olympics. So I'm going to start for the singles, I'm going to start the women's. And before I go any further, I want to address something. And that is that whilst I said that Carolina Marin was a begrudging pick on my behalf, I'm not happy at the way that, or I feel pleased, or whatever, someone said something along those lines on my Instagram, that Marin's Olympic journey ended the way it did. I mean, that's just disgusting and horrible, and there's no way that I'd ever want that. I didn't want her to win, but I wanted someone to beat her. There's, what a disastrous way for her Olympic journey to end. I mean, she was a game and miles up, in 10-5, in control. She had 1 foot in the Olympic final. And then for that to happen is devastating. It was heartbreaking to watch. I had to turn it off. I couldn't watch it. It was upsetting. But so that's all I want to say on that matter. She was one of my picks. It's a real shame that it's just a real shame that that's just how it ended. So yeah, that I wanted to get that out of the way first. Outside of that, let's rule a line under that. Elsewhere, the singles picks were rather successful for me. The one that I picked that didn't make it was Chen Yufei, which was quite surprising. I honestly thought that she showed signs throughout this whole year and in the last 2 tournaments in Indonesia and Singapore of showing something new and different. And I was like, okay, this is the Chen Yufei this is what we're going to get at the Olympics, or an even better version. Turned out that we didn't get any of that. We kind of saw a Chen Yufei that reverted back a little bit to what she used to do, which is her kind of nice but rallying style. No real conviction in her play. And I wasn't at all surprised that He Bingjiao was able to actually beat her. And talking of He Bingjiao, she was the obvious, well, not the obvious surprise, there was another, but we'll get to that in a second, but she was a surprise at the tournament. She played brilliantly, to be honest. She's kind of being slightly, it feels like she's fading away, because she's now actually the 4th ranked Chinese player, with Han Yue and Wang Ziyi above her. So it's kind of like you see that after these Olympics, is she actually going to be, we're going to see her for very long, because there's bound to be some other youngsters that are also coming up, so how much longer has she got left? So it was really nice, because I've always loved watching her play, you know, left-handed like me, always love a left-handed player, yeah, and has worked actually really hard at her weaknesses. So it was great to see her, you know, getting far. It was definitely a surprise and one I didn't expect, but fair play. Obviously in the top half, my 2 picks, my dark horse Tung Jung came true. She got the bronze. Obviously didn't have to play the bronze medal match, but that, you know, the fact that she didn't have to play it doesn't take anything away from that achievement, because, you know, she had to still get there. Yeah, I know some of you are going to be in the comments saying, yeah, well, Tai Ziying was injured, and so, you know, that, because she then lost to Ratchanok, it opened up the pathway, but you can only beat who's in front of you. And Tung Jung, she had her own little battles. She came through a pretty easy group, had a tough match with Kim Ga-yeon, a player who can upset any of the world's best, and she had to battle through that match and, you know, come through really close, and then she played a sublime game against Ratchanok and kind of exerted a dominance, and then in the semis against An Se-young had a fabulous match. So I think she's very well deserved of her bronze, and she showed the kind of stuff that, the exact reason why I picked her, is that she was able to hold it together when she needed to. She showed off her skills, she played brilliantly, and I'm interested now to see how that bronze medal, how she can take it and move forward. I really hope that she can use it as a platform to bigger things, because there's going to be a few retirements in the women's singles, and so there's going to be some opportunities for a player like her. She's primed to become one of the top ladies, so I hope to see that. But talking of top ladies, who's also young, An Se-young, amazing. She was really good. I mean, yeah, she started slow in a few of her matches, but when she needed to, that mental strength was fantastic, and she just got faster and faster. She was able to just up the pace. And even when I was watching her when she was down against Yamaguchi or down against Tung Jung, or like looking like maybe there's some people might be thinking this, she was the one player I thought, nah, she's got this. It never felt in doubt. She has now pretty much won everything. I thought she had won everything. Obviously, she hasn't won the Sudirman Cup or the Asia Championships, but won every single major, and she is only 22. So if she can get her injury under control and manage that well, take the rest she needs, then we could see her doing a Zhang Ning possibly even better. Well, let's come back in 2028 and maybe possibly 2032 and see if I'm right on that one. That's a long way away, but possibly. Although, just before I stop on the women's singles and tell you how I did, someone sent me an interesting article, and that was that after those Olympics, An Se-young actually really came out against the Korean Badminton Association, saying how bad they had handled her whole injury process. And there were, reading between the lines, or, you know, she said something along the lines of that maybe by the next she might be going independent. No, she really kind of didn't like the way that they handled injury. It was misdiagnosed, mistreated, and just everything wasn't handled very well. So she was definitely saying about how she obviously wants to continue, but she was worried that maybe by the next Olympics, would she get sent if she's not part of the association? That's pretty much the crux of it. So that's some breaking news for you, if any of you haven't seen that. But yeah, no, in the women's singles, 3 out of my 4 made the semis, 2 out of 3 got medals, and although had the Marin situation not gone differently, 1-2 in the singles, and then Tung Jung versus Herbing Zhao, maybe it still would have been 2 out of 3, or maybe it would have been 3 out of 3. But regardless, pretty good predictions on my behalf. So let's see if the men's singles can be just as good. Crux of it is, it went exactly, well, not exactly, it went the same as my women's singles. 2 out of 3 medalists. Yeah, 2 out of 3, what about 3 out of 4? No, who are my picks? I had Kunlevert, Victor. Oh yeah, she obviously, him and Kunlevert had to play. So yeah, no, I got 2 out of 3 medalists, obviously both finalists, which is pretty good. I know I picked Shiuchi and Kunlevut, so possibly a little bit of a cheat that guaranteed me one. But then Kunlevut had to play the other surprising men's singles player. Well, not surprising, we all know that he's capable of it, but Lee Zijia, another Malaysian, Ben. You overlooked 3 of them, didn't you? I can already see the comments from my Malaysian viewers. They're going to be... So, yeah, well, I predicted the 2 finalists, I guess you could call it. And most people, when it came to... Let's start with Kunlevut. I think most people thought that, well, some people thought that he's, after his World Championships, where he hasn't actually won a title since, that was him done. Gone. No more from Kunlevut. I knew otherwise. I had faith in him. I get the sense that Kunlevut is going to be like a Taufik. That's how I see him. Not necessarily winning tournament after tournament after tournament, but when it comes to the majors and he is switched on and focused, he's going to be at the business end. And he's done that at the last 2 World Championships, getting silver and gold, and now he's gone and done it at the Olympics, getting silver. An amazing performance. The final, I'll get to in a second, because I want to link that with talking about the other guy that involved. But, yeah, the final was a bit different, but his quarter-final and his semi-final were just flawless performances. So let's go to the other one. So obviously Shiuchi lost to Kunlevut. Don't need to talk about Shiuchi other than the fact that it was a little bit disappointing, his performance. But I think a big part of that was that he had such an easy group and then he had like some time off. So he only played 2 matches. They weren't particularly testing for him, so he hadn't really had a good feel of the conditions. Hadn't had one of those matches where your nerves are tested and you're jangling. And then he comes up against Kunlevut, who the day before, had a tough match against Nishimoto, but had gone through all of what I've just said. A really tough match, had played the conditions, had to come back from a game down. I think a game and a bit down, actually. So he'd gone through all those emotions, and so I think he was a bit more ready when it came to playing Shiuchi, and Shiuchi wasn't. And combine that with the fact that the pressure is going to be huge. The pressure was huge on Shiuchi, just become world number 1. People were looking at him. Even Lin Dan was saying that he thinks he's his top medal hope. That's a lot of pressure. And so he just wasn't able to deal with it, which is a shame. I mean, I still think it's just a shame that match wasn't better. It should have been a titanic battle. My other pick, my dark horse, before I get to my top pick, Lakshya Sen. Another one that people were kind of going, why Lakshya Sen? I mean, first of all, I think mainly because he was in the group of Christie, who had a pretty, well, up and down, but some very big highs in 2024. And obviously being Indonesian gets a lot of support. So I think the fact that, because they were in the same group, a lot of people were like, no, Christie's going to beat him. And I'll be honest, in that group match, I thought it could go either way, but I just had this feeling that Lakshya Sen was going to pull out a great tournament. And he did. And he should have, well, let's not say should have, but he had a really good chance at the bronze today. Game at 8-3 up, and he looked in control. Then it just seemed like 2 things happened. It seemed to me like he kind of ran out of steam, he suddenly hit a wall. I mean, he had played the most matches out of all the singles players, so it's not surprising, and he'd had some tough matches before. And then I think the whole situation with his arm just mentally threw him a little bit. And then combine that with Lee Zijia got a few quick points back, suddenly the belief is there, and it just compounded it. It kind of, the momentum completely switched, and fair play to Lee Zijia. Once he took that momentum, he never let go until the end. And with all the stuff that he goes through, he was going through his own turmoil. So it was a really interesting battle, a really mental one. It was fantastic to watch, and all credit to Lee Zijia on that win. But still, I think the fact that my dark horse pick, that some people weren't really expecting to do well, came true. So that leaves me with my last pick, which was Victor, which, again, surprisingly, considering how dominant he has been, the fact he was the reigning champion, a lot of people doubted him. I doubted him very little. I thought, like I said in my video, I thought that when it comes to like something like this, and he'd been showing signs of refining his form. Yeah, he'd had some injury issues. Yeah, he was losing his shit quite often in the build-up. But I just felt that when it really mattered, that he would deliver, and he delivered way above and beyond. I mean, he was so calm throughout. I don't recall. Maybe once I saw him kind of look like maybe against Lakshya Sen. I think there was a brief moment where he was almost on the edge, but he composed himself. And in the final, holy hell, that's a performance. that is a performance of a champion. Mentally stable, everything. It was basically the Victor that we all came accustomed to a couple of years where we thought he was unbeatable. And when he's playing like that, he pretty much is. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, so that's kind of like, you know, I picked Victor because I knew that he had the capability of delivering a performance like that. But going into the final, again, I did a video for BWF, and I thought that Kunlevit actually had the edge. Just based on everything I'd seen, that I felt that, oh yeah, Victor was playing really well, but Kunlevit was playing better. Yes, Victor was calm, but I felt that he was giving away runs of points. He did that against Laksha, and I thought if he opened the door to Kunlevit the way Kunlevit had been playing, that Kunlevit would just wouldn't close it, wouldn't let him back in. But Victor didn't open any doors on that final. Holy shit, that was a performance. I know I've said that already, but my god. So yeah, prediction wise, men's singles was pretty good. I picked the dark, out of the semi-finalists, 3 of the 4 were mine. I couldn't get 4 out of 4 the way the draws were, so that's pretty good. Got 2 out of 3 medalists. I kind of said that China might not medal for the first time since 2004. That happened, and I also thought that we wouldn't. There's a way Loki and you might have something to say about us finally seeing a Li Shifeng versus Victor match, and that also came true. So yeah, I'd say all in all, pretty good for the men's singles. So yeah, that's all the events. Gonna do the outro now and tally it up and say goodbye to you all. Okay, so I've gone through all the disciplines. I've told you how I kind of did my predictions. I also gave you a little bit of analysis on some of the matches, brief analysis, which I wasn't expecting to do, but you know, once I get talking about badminton, I just keep going and going and going. So I think it's probably best now to run through them all, have some sort of score/tally, and can kind of see a more objective way of how I did. I think the easiest way for me to do this is just to kind of, each event, a score out of 3, because you have 3 medalists. Let's not do semi-finalists, just do medalists, because that's really what matters, isn't it? And how many did I score in each? Okay, so mixed doubles, 3 out of 3. Women's doubles, 2 out of 3. Men's doubles, 1 out of 3. Women's singles, 2 out of 3. And men's singles, also 2 out of 3. Almost 3 out of 3 on that one as well. So that gives me a total of 10 out of 15, which is 2/3, 66.6%. I think you can admit that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. I mean, of course, you know, you can be proud about yourself. There is an element of luck whenever you predict any of this. You can either be amazingly correct or you can be terrible. There are a few things that could have gone my way. There's a few things that went against me. You know, there's an element of luck to this. But still, getting 2/3 of the medalists correct, as well as 2 medalists that were dark horses, almost 3, that's pretty good going, you must admit. There's also, yeah, of course, there's some additional stuff. So the stuff I said about Feng Yanze and Wang Dongping, that was pretty on the money. What else? The non-Chinese medalists in the men's singles for the first time since 2004. Lo Qianyu upsetting Li Shifeng. What else? That was it. I also, let's be honest here, I said I'd come back to this, I overlooked a few things. The biggest being Malaysia. They had a fantastic tournament. You have got 2 bronze medalists, Aaron Cha, Soe Yik. What a comeback. What a comeback. And you also had Lee Zijia, another great comeback. And you had Pearly Tan and Tina Muller-Itteren, who played sublimely. It was a shame they weren't able to clinch a medal, but just getting 4th place is brilliant. And then you had Chen Tangji and To Iwei were also great. They were the ones that beat the second seeds, weren't quite able to capitalise that against the Koreans in the quarters, but and also a fantastic tournament. And I can't finish without mentioning Go Jin-wei, who put in a great performance against Kim Ga-yoon in the groups, coming ever so close to actually coming through that. And had she, when she faced Tunjung, when, let's be honest, in that match, Tunjung was a bit shaky, who knows? But it doesn't matter that she didn't get out of the groups, she also played brilliantly. So the whole Malaysian team came in very ready, and I completely overlooked them. So to all my Malaysian viewers, I do apologise for that. You can slate me all you want in the comments, it's fine. Oh yeah, and one other big thing, obviously I didn't see, I already said this, Li Yang Wang Qilin winning the men's doubles. Wow, that must be might just be the surprise of the tournament. And it's surprising because I'm surprised by the Olympic champions defending their title. That doesn't sound right, but you know, if you know badminton, then you know that how much of a surprise them defending their crown actually was. But anyway, I think this video has gone on long enough. You've seen enough of my face. I've also spoken enough about badminton over the last few weeks. I've done so much work on it. I did my Olympic story video, which hasn't been getting the views I thought it would, so please go watch that next. Obviously, I did my Olympic predictions. I've been doing all the work throughout for the BWF throughout the tournament, as well as trying to post as much as I can on my Instagram. So it's been quite an exhausting few weeks, and I need to take a break. So I'm actually going to go on holiday tomorrow. Not going to say where, but I am going on holiday for just under 3 weeks. So you won't see any more videos from me for at least a month, maybe 6 weeks. I do intend to possibly work on a script or have a good idea so when I get back I can get straight into filming and editing, but there's going to be no content from me for a little while. I just need to take, after being non-stop for the last year working on this channel, and then now the Olympics has been quite a brutal few weeks to a month actually. I need to take a little break, so I hope you appreciate that and can just bear with me. I do promise that when I come back there'll be plenty more content. And on that note, why don't you also lay in the comments, aside from slating me or praising me, give me some ideas of what you think that for some content you want to see from me. I have some of my own ideas, but I'm always open to suggestions. So anyway guys, thank you for watching this video. If you've made it this far, then you are a true fan, a true supporter, and I really appreciate you. Can't wait to get back to doing this, but for now I really need to have this holiday, and I'm going to have a couple more drinks. Until next time guys, see you later.